About 15 minutes ago I finished watching the Act 2 of Arcane, and so, with my feelings still fresh, let's talk about it. Let's first start with the spoiler-free section, which will not be that long, because there's not much that we can talk about without spoilers. The series continues in a really good way. It is not a perfect continuation. I think there are ways that this could be improved. However, I would say that Episode 2 is a solid 7 out of 10. There were some things which I'll talk about in just a bit, which could be better, but episodes 2 and 3 in the Act 2 were both 8 out of 10. The overall score for Act 2, 8 out of 10. It was really good. A really good continuation of all the characters. Jinx is so well written in this new act. Caitlyn and Vi, their relationship is brilliant. Caitlyn and Vi together are by far the best thing in Act 2. They are actually perfect. That's the one thing that's perfect in this. Then there is Victor. Then there is the other professor that returns. That's also really awesome. Victor is absolutely... I know where his story is heading. It's great. And then there is Jace. Jace is the only one who's like, he could be better, but what's happening around Jace is really what's carrying him in this act. So, again, without spoilers, my overall score of this series is 8 out of 10. Sorry, Act 2 in this series is 8 out of 10. It's really, really good. But there are things that could be better, so let's now go through my notes, which means that right now we are heading into spoilers, so if you haven't seen it yet, just go away. But now, on to the spoilers. So, at the beginning, we already got some really cool Easter eggs, which I will talk about in the details video, such as Professor Stanwyck was mentioned, which Professor Stanwyck was actually a live character. Now he's... He has passed away because I believe he was old already, but in the original lore, which I believe was retconned already, but in the original one, Professor Stanwyck was actually the mentor of Victor and Jace, or maybe actually just Jace. I can't remember, that was a while ago. Anyway, we then learned that the city is 200 years old. That's all cool, you know, a lot of kind of background for Piltover, which means that Heimerdinger, since it was mentioned that he was one of the guys who founded Piltover, that means that Heimerdinger was only 100 years old when he founded the city. Anyway, then again, you know, time works differently in Battle City, whatever, that's not really important. I noticed that there were some other cool details, such as the guy without the pants. He made a return and he was now on an airship, and, you know, more awesome details, such as the first line that Jinx had in this series was, "One day I will ride one of the airships." In the first scene of Act 2, she did exactly that. That was a brilliant detail. And then everything got real grim. Like, everything got dark so quickly after Jinx was revealed in her semi-adult version. I wonder how old they were now. I missed really the age. I know that later Vi confirms that Jinx was only 7 years old during the first act, but I have no idea how old they are now. Regardless, Poros are canon, alright? Poros actually are... Poros are real! This is the first time we actually got a canon confirmation for that. And then, of course, the entire story revolves around the new Hextech gemstones. Because they had to cut them into gemstones, sure, that makes sense. And it kind of makes sense why the Hextech, the real Hextech that is being used in Piltover, is not supposed to be as dangerous. This answers the question why the modern Hextech devices are not nearly as dangerous as what was shown in Act 1. So, I'm fine with that. I wonder if they are getting rid of the synthetic crystals? Those weren't... maybe they will appear a little bit later on, but, you know, who knows. And, you know, there was the massive device that was propelling the airships that we thought was a death beam at first, but yeah, later we learned that, yes, it was just propelling airships. All of it, I'm fine with all of that. It's kind of a nice background for the entire series. Once again, as I mentioned, Jinx, her reveal for Act 2, perfect. It was so awesome. Then Marcus. Even though Marcus was kind of like a throne, not really a throne of character in Act 1, but he was sort of a side character that really progressed into the main character over Act 1. And in Act 2, they continue him so well, because when he's thinking about his past, he's remembering Grayson, which is the woman who died in Act 1, spoiler I guess. Then it is revealed that he is a father, but we haven't seen his daughter yet, that will come later. And then comes the really cool thing, because in Act 1 he was an ass. He was an ass and he paid for it, and that's kind of why he is a good guy now, or a better guy than before. And I love the parallel between Grayson and Vander and Marcus and Silco, because just like Grayson had a deal with Vander and they were keeping the Undercity safe, Marcus is now having deals with Silco in the exact same way, but Marcus is not really making anything safe, and I love that. That's a brilliant detail. Then there were some really cool other details, such as there is actually the tattoo artist. Yes, he was tattooing a Pentakill logo, I believe, but that tattoo artist actually makes tattoos for Urgot. You can see him in Urgot's splash art. I really love that detail. Then there's another brilliant misdirection from one of the old trailers. There was a trailer where there was a figure walking into the last drop, and we thought, hey, that's Vi. Nope, that wasn't Vi. That was actually Silco's sidekick. I forgot her name, so I will just call her a sidekick. So that was a brilliant misdirection from the trailers. I am considering making a separate video just about the trailers, because everything the trailers told us were lies. All of it. Then it was revealed that Silco's injector had actually a bit of shimmer in it. That's an interesting reveal. And then there is the interactions of Jinx and Silco. Those are so good, because Jinx essentially swapped Vander for Silco as her new patron. And I love that. That's such a good twist in the story. And as Jinx's character is revealed more and more, it is revealed that there are more and more twists in the background that keep getting revealed, and so Riot has more ammunition to throw at us, and I absolutely love that. Especially when she started tinkering with Hextech. Now, once again, Jinx's character is absolutely amazing, and there are so many layers to her mental state. We can see that she's actually mentally scarred by what happened with the monkey. That's why the monkey's everywhere. All of that makes sense now. And in the background behind her, she actually made a little figurine of Milo and Clagor. That is so powerful. Then, besides that, we can see that she is actually afraid of Hextech because she remembers what happened there. And the unfortunate thing that I really would love to see is that we didn't really see how Jinx was mentally breaking down. We didn't see the progression from her like semi-normal state to her actually going insane, and that's a bit of a shame. However, maybe that's because she actually has shreds of sane personality, because she's not entirely insane. She is actually still a really clever tinkerer, and she knows how to engineer stuff, and so you have this duality of Jinx where she is insane, but she is still a really clever person behind all of that. And once again, it just gives Jinx so many layers. And Jinx right now is one of the best characters in the series. Then there is Jace. I have to say that Jace is not quite as egoistic as he was supposed to be in the story, and this is kind of my issue with Jace right now. He is actually, when it comes to his personality, he is different than what he was supposed to be like according to his normal bio. And you know what, let's just go into the main thing. He has a relationship with Mel. Now, I don't think it's the best relationship, to be honest, but there are more layers to that as well, because you see, I believe that Mel is actually using Jace. She is using him for all the shady deals around the council, and so I believe that Mel doesn't really have strong feelings for Jace. She is just there to make sure that Jace is profitable to her, because that's exactly why she started her partnership with Jace. And that was even told by her assistant, that Jace, according to Mel, was her investment. So her physical relationship with him, and yeah, the series is PG-16 apparently, but her physical relationship with Jace I'm not exactly sure like how well that's gonna land with the community, but to all the waifus and all the people who love Jace, I'm sorry. That happened. But yeah, in my opinion, Jace is actually one of the weaker characters in Act 2, which is a shame, but the politics around him are absolutely amazing. So Jace is kinda being carried by what's actually happening around him. Then there is Caitlyn. And Caitlyn started as a bit of a boring character in this act. She didn't really do much. She was like, haha, I'm gonna be better than my parents, I guess. I will just go around and figure everything out, and I will be the hero. I will show everyone that I can be out in the field and I can actually be useful. That is not the most amazing story arc. It's kind of basic. However, Caitlyn really shines when she is around Vi, and when these two are together, they have such an awesome chemistry. Like Caitlyn without Vi, together these two are mind-blowingly well written. Caitlyn and Vi are the stars of this show right now. There is nothing even comparable to that, and the scene where Caitlyn got Vi out of the prison, that was absolutely awesome. And then every time they were anything, the brothel, the scenes in the brothel were so good. There was, and I actually need to look at my notes, there were actually two people wearing the masks of the lamp and the wolf. I noticed that. There was also a Yordle in a latex suit. And then, at the end, we noticed that Caitlyn was actually enjoying her stay in the brothel. Also, there was a scene where Vi told Caitlyn that she was hot. There are gonna be so many memes of that, and Riot knew exactly what they were doing. I am pretty sure right now they are actually getting ready to ship Caitlyn and Vi. They know exactly what they are doing. And then back to Viktor. I love how during this act, when it comes to Jace, he was enjoying his power as a counselor and he was enjoying his time there. While down below, Viktor was getting the other end of the stick, and his storyline went down really hard. Not like down as in it was bad, but man, did some bad crap happen to him. I really like what's happening to him. However, I feel like, once again, the storyline may be a little bit different from what was happening to him before. I love that he is connected to Singed. I really love that connection. However, I feel like Singed is being dragged down a little bit because in the original story, Singed was just not a crazy person, but he was a person who knew what science was capable of, and so he was willing to go the extra mile, and he was willing to do experiments which others weren't, simply to discover more science. So, while Singed was an insane person who was experimenting on people, he was always doing it for the right reasons. So when he was actually stitching people together in a really horrifying ways, it was because he was trying to figure out if he can prolong their lives. Now, Singed in Arcane is very similar. However, the original Singed came from Piltover. He was a Piltover professor. Here, it seems like that entire part is thrown out the window, and I am not a fan of that. Singed being a professor in Piltover by day and a nightmarish, not really a professor, a nightmare in Zone by night, that was a brilliant thing that Singed had, and I really hope they won't throw that out the window. Singed in the canon universe is just an absolutely amazing character, well written, his stories were always awesome. Here, I'm not exactly sure where they are heading with him, but Singed is not in the best place. Sorry if these notes are kinda all over the place, it's because the story really jumps from one place to another, which can be seen as a bad thing, but I think Arcane is balancing it really well. While yes, sometimes the scenes can abruptly cut, it is really not that bad. But now, heading towards the finale, Viktor's physical state getting worse was really awesome, and I love that they actually showed the hex score, which, if you don't know, the hex score is Viktor's passive. That's really what made him Viktor. And I love how, to save Viktor, Jace actually had to confront Heimerdinger. He had to save the hex score, and they kicked Heimerdinger out. And that was such a good thing in the series as well, because everyone voted for Heimerdinger to get out because They all had the shady deals. As I mentioned, the politics around Jace are so much more interesting than what Jace is doing in Act 2. And there's another thing, I mentioned that Jace is supposed to be egoistic, but he was also supposed to be all about his work, and he didn't care about other people. There are numerous stories on Universe that are all about that. There is a kid that comes to him, she wants her toy to be fixed, and he just brushes her off, like, you know, why would he fix toys? Here, in this series, Jace is totally different. He actually is all about safety. That's why he didn't reveal Hextech at first, and that's why he's helping Victor so much. Here, he cares about the safety and he's willing to sacrifice his work. That's why he stopped Hextech progress at first. In the normal universe, he wouldn't do that. That's not who Jace was. Jace was supposed to be egoistic, he was supposed to be all about his work, nothing else. His work and everything he did was a priority. Here, that's not the case. And then we got the finale in the underground. I love how Caitlyn was forced into giving Vi some shimmer. I wonder if that will come back. And then during Vi's escape from Silco, I love how all the storylines tied together and you got really ready for what's about to come, because Jinx lit up the flare, which means that she did bait out Vi, just as I predicted in the details video. But Marcus was also forced into closing the borders, so now, since Caitlyn and Vi are outside, they have to go through Marcus if they want to return back to Piltover. That is such a brilliant setup for Act 3. And speaking of Marcus, I forgot to mention one thing. There was the brilliant scene of Silco threatening his family. I don't know who writes all of this, but that was such a well-written scene. It was just perfect. And then there is the final confrontation with Jinx and the Fireflies. Now, while on one side I was really expecting Jinx to go all in on Vi and just start shooting and mayhem everywhere, that wasn't really the case, and it makes sense why. You know, we learned that there were still some shreds of the old powder inside Jinx, so it makes sense why she wasn't immediately hostile. And while I didn't think I would like that dynamic, I actually do like the relationship between Vi and Jinx in Act 2. I like how Caitlyn then went in and absolutely destroyed everything. And then we get to the hoverboard gang. Now, I don't know if this is a spoiler or not. This is just a theory. I don't know any information which you wouldn't know, so it's not a spoiler, it is literally a theory. But okay, if you don't want anything spoiled regarding the hoverboard gang, just click off now, alright? But I actually do believe that the main guy may be Echo. And that's for two main reasons. In Act 2, despite Echo being a very important character, he did not appear anywhere. Echo wasn't present at all, despite other side characters such as Singed getting the spotlight. I really don't think that Riot would not involve Echo in Act 2 because Echo is a really popular character in League of Legends. So that's reason number one. Reason number two, if you go frame by frame, you can see that a lot of the gang members actually have the Z that looks like the hourglass on their clothing, which is the same hourglass that Echo later has on his face. So, while these connections are kinda vague, it is definitely possible that Echo may actually be the main guy on the hoverboard. And there are actually, now I thought about two more reasons. See, the main guy has a cane, and in League of Legends he has a bat, so he has some kind of a melee weapon. That could be a tie. But also, the gang stole the Hextech gem. They stole the gemstone, which is stable. That's the best version of the gem of Hextech that you can get, which means that using this gemstone, Echo can make the Z drive now. But there is an issue. In his bio and in his actual story, he got the gemstone in a different way. He actually got it from a crumbling factory. From Victor's crumbling factory, I just remember that. Which means, if Victor's experiment goes bad in Act 3, he would still be able to get the Hextech gemstone. So it doesn't necessarily have to be this one. But it's really gonna come down to whether Riot wants to follow the canonical storyline precisely or not. But that's kind of my issue right now with this entire series. There are storylines that happened differently. And if there is one thing I hate, it is retconning. I hate retconning like beyond everything else. And so I hope they will not massively change the characters. But yeah, overall, this was 8 out of 10. It was really good. If you look at it as a separate series without any lore knowledge, it's just really good. And for me personally, I am leaning towards like 7 out of 10 only because of the retcons and only because there are some differences to like Jace's character. Jace especially, he got the short end of the stick here, but overall it's an 8 out of 10. It is not a perfect continuation of the series, but it is a really damn good one. Good job, Riot. This is heading in an amazing direction. Act 3, though, better come out with a big boom, because Act 2 didn't have a big boom ending, and we wanna see more of those. Act 1 was such a great ending. Act 3 has to tie all of it together, and there has to be some amazing reveal at the end. So yeah, Riot, you are under the pressure right now, so good luck!